I'm James from Yoga Plus Therapies, and we're going to go through our class today on Back to Basics Yoga. Our goal is to just cover some of the important aspects of yoga, which include the feeling that you're going to have in your body, the sensations, the parts of the body that are important to strengthen, to aid the posture and to help us with our everyday life, and the parts in our body that we may need to be more focused on flexibility. Now remember, this class is for you, so that means you may need to modify and adapt and change. The goal is to be comfortable, but at the same time you need to just challenge yourself just a little bit so that you can get something from the practice, to achieve something, to move towards something. So that's why it's so important to really understand these principles and basics. So let's get started now. Get you to lay down on your back. Knees bent up. Rest position. Feel the feet, the toes nice and long. Feel the back pelvis, the awareness of the spine resting to the floor, the position of the head. Check if your chin pokes a lot, just consciously draw it in a little or give a small support behind the back of the head. Everyday life tends to make our shoulders pop forward a bit, so allow your shoulders to sink back like spreading wings. It helps to have the palms upward for that. You may need just to find that neutral part of the spine, do a few easy pelvic tilts where you arch and gently flex until you find the middle position where it just feels right and comfortable. So remember, a spine has natural curves. It's not meant to be flat or straight, nor does it need to be overly curved. We're trying to find that neutral place ideal for you. Once you get that awareness into your body, just begin to focus on the breathing. Now remember, the basic breathing in yoga is we breathe in and out through the nose. Slowly, easily. Feel the sensations of breath as you breathe in and out through the nose. Keep the jaw and the face relaxed. Have a bit of fun. Remember that, even if you don't feel it, just smile. Smile until you get that feeling of goodness, that feeling that it's all okay in your body. We call it the inner smile, that inner smile of well-being. Feel the breath movement now down in the belly area. You notice when you inhale, the belly slightly rises. When you exhale, the belly slightly sinks. You don't push it out, you don't exaggerate it, it just happens naturally when you're more relaxed. If you're tense, you tend to breathe higher up in the chest and the shoulders. So that's why it's important in yoga that we really learn how to relax, to let go of the tensions, to get that comfort place. Now we can do breathing passively like that, or we can do it a bit more actively. So you can breathe in, allowing the tummy to rise, but when you exhale this time, consciously draw the tummy in, the navel in. So you're hollowing the tummy towards the backbone. Active breathing just starts to work those deeper core muscle area. If you place the fingers on the lower tummy, you can often feel how the muscles firm. As you do this, check in yourself, does it feel like it evenly firms? Both sides are even, not one side more than the other. Breathing out that gentle hollow and then relaxing. Another type of breathing we can do in yoga is what we call spinal breathing, which is an awareness, visualization type breathing. So you bring your awareness into your spine, from the tailbone, the lower back, the middle, upper back and the neck. You breathe in and imagine your awareness travelling up the spine. You breathe out, the awareness travels back down. As you do this practice, breathing in, imagine that your spine lengthens and elongates. And as you breathe out, it relaxes, all the tension efforts go. The elongation occurs because there's just that slight drawing apart of the vertebrae, slightly reducing the curvatures. But you're not extending or straightening. It's just this very subtle action of lengthening. And again, it only happens when you're not tense. You feel it when you become more relaxed. So this is the basis of yoga, become more sensitive, more comfortable, more relaxed. So you're more in touch with what's going on in your body. We'll refer to active breathing or spinal breathing through the class, or just the natural abdominal breathing. So let's start with some really basic actions now. Get our cores firing up. Focusing on that lower tummy, breathe in. As you breathe out, hollow the tummy in. Now bring one knee up towards the chest. And then lower back down as you breathe in. Try to do that in a way that you keep your pelvis steady so it doesn't seesaw. And just keep the natural curve so you're not arching into the back. Keep good control. Try it with the other leg. Sometimes there can be differences between the sides. And then try it with both legs. Breathing out, hollow the tummies and draw the knees in. And then release it back down without overly arching the lower back. The more control you can do that, the more your core is stabilizing. You may need to build this up over time. Developing that inner strength. Now let's open the hips. Let's just place one ankle on the other thigh. Let the knee open. Maybe flex the foot if you feel there's a little knee strain, and just get that space into your hip. It's just a very simple practice. You're not trying to do too much, but you're just getting that feeling that you're creating that little bit of openness. Take the arms out to the sides and add a little bit of a twist. So just roll the knees, twisting a little bit towards one side. Breathing in and then breathing out and taking it to the other side. This is another fundamental practice that when we do certain actions, we combine it with the breathing. We get coordination of breath and movement. So the centered place, we tend to breathe in, and then into the twist, we tend to breathe out. Good. Try that on the other side. Hip cradle, hip opening, create space, relaxed, neutral spines, and add a little bit of a twist. Breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Just do that a few times, just to your timing of breath and movement. You're getting that coordination, that focus. At the same time, you're focusing on the body, the feelings, the sensations of the stretch. The fundamental action, what you're trying to do with yoga. Then release. Let's get a bit of work into the shoulders now. So bring the hands in front of the chest. Reach to the sky and feel how the shoulder blades move around the ribs as you reach up to the sky. And then let the shoulder blades fall back. So some of the actions in our shoulders comes from shoulder blade movements. So you want to be free to move through our shoulders, not held rigid. Now, Let's raise the arms to the floor of the head. Now this is a stretching open move, so this is a nice one to breathe in and then bring it back. Notice as you do this action, as you raise the arm up, there's a movement of the shoulder blade too. It's rotating around the rib to give you more room to open up through those shoulders. But you don't want to do it in a way that you hunch, that you're not shoulder hunching to ears. It's a rotation of the shoulder blades around the rib cage, and you're opening the shoulders, and the breastbone slightly lifts to help get more movement into those shoulders. Now let's bring the hands into lock behind the back of the head, support it. As we said before, another fundamental thing we often do in day-to-day life is we have that sticking out chin. So we want to counter that by just letting your head rest into the hands, let the chin nod back in, feel the sensation of just the head being in that more neutral, not pushing forward position. Check your shoulders. Are they tight? Do you find that they're a little lifted from the floor, or can you easily bring them over? To add a bit of shoulder stretch, bring the knees together, feet together, and roll the knees one way and stretch the opposite elbow away, and you can just feel that extra stretch coming into the shoulder area, the chest area, the waist. The good thing about stretching is it gives you more feeling, so you become more aware of what's happening in your body. Try the other side, breathing in up, breathing out as you go to the second side. Notice the difference between arms and shoulders. Elbows open, legs the opposite way. Rotate the rib cage a little back the other way too to get that bit of spinal movement. Every practice has multiple dimensions, and so you can emphasize different aspects of it, whether it be the shoulders or the neck or the spine, the waist, the hips, the legs. What expands is what you focus on. Inhale back up. Let's relax the neck by just drawing the chin to the breastbone, supporting the head, and just give a nice stretch into the neck now. Keep that chin nodded in, and do this action with a rolling bivertebra action. So don't force it and pull it. Just gently, easily roll it up to get a light stretch into the neck. Feeling comfortable. This is nice to release those tightness in that upper part of the neck. Sometimes you can just do a little rocking rotation, and that gets a little bit more release into that upper neck. The upper neck gets tight often when we do have that head forward posture through our days. Now release it back. Let the breath come in. Open up here. Now bring the arms by your sides, palms up, and let the shoulders fall open so we get that good shoulder blade position. Walk the heels in a little bit so you feel supportive. And using the pelvic tilt, roll your pelvis up and lift to bridge. Rolling up to weaken those spinal muscles, and then roll it down. So again, we're trying to be aware of what's happening along the spine, how the muscles work. And also notice how the hip muscles work. As you come up, you can feel these back, hip, glute muscles working. You get more of that feeling if you press the heels lightly down. Be mindful of the shoulders, that they're grounded, open, and that the neck is easy and relaxed. You could move it freely. Not scrunching the toes, you want to feel that there's no tension in parts of the body that don't need to be. This is so important in your yoga practice, that you become more aware of working the part you need, and the rest stays easy, comfortable, relaxed. Maintain the inner smile. Feel the movement and the sense of vitality it comes from moving well and freely. Now just gently bring both knees to chest to relax into the lower back. If the knees are closer together and you draw, as you exhale, you draw the knees to the chest, you feel more of the stretch coming into the lower back. If the knees are a bit apart, and you do it, you might feel there's a little bit more stretch coming into the hips. And again, it depends on your body shape as well, how close you can get the knees, how close well, they have to be more apart. But you can just see that you can have a focus more on stretching through the lower back, or a focus on more stretching into the hips. When they're wide and you have the feet coming upwards, you could hold the ankles or feet, and that becomes the happy baby position, which gets a bit more stretch into the hips. You can even do a little rock side to side, because rocking is soothing to the nervous system, and it helps you to relax and ease into things a little bit more. You can have fun with yoga practice and play around a little bit with it as well. So we're going to transition to come up. Now one way you can do this, crossing ankles, and just do some nice rock and rolls like a ball. A few times to come up. Trying to give a massaging feeling through the spine. But not everyone should be doing this, not everyone's spine is so happy and mobile. And of course, if you have osteoporosis, you don't want to do these flexing positions. So in which case, you just come to your side and ease yourself up. Now we're going to come around to tabletop position. Knees under hips, feet relaxed, hands in line with shoulders, fingers forward. Find our neutral first. You do a few pelvic tilts to find that place where you're not sticking, overarching, or too flexing. Find that comfort place. Feel the arms press into the wall and spread the shoulders. So again, we're not collapsing, we're just getting that feeling of openness and spread. Check the heads haven't done a collapse, so that it's keeping in that nice aligned position. Take a breath in and out to the belly. As you breathe out, hollow the tummy in and up. This is a nice positioning to help get a bit more of that strength into that tummy area. So you can do that hollowing, more active breathing in this position. You can wake up your shoulder blades nicely in this position by just doing those shoulder blade push-ups. You let the shoulder blades move around the ribs, chest towards the floor, and then press away, feeling the shoulder blades moving around the ribs, and the upper back moves up towards the ceiling. This is quite different to the cat move because it's a movement of shoulder blades. The spine is not moving at all. When the wrists get tired, you can always sit back and take pressure by coming into child position, turning the palms up, and that takes even more pressure off. It is important that we condition our wrists though to get more tolerant. So one way to condition is to bring the hands slightly back. We can just practice that position of coming forward where we get a bit more stress into the wrists and then come off. Keep the weight even through the palms, so there's not more pressure to the little finger or thumb sides. There's no tingle or discomfort, and you just want to feel that slight stress. This is the challenge. And then we release, and you can build this up over time, getting that bit more wrist tolerance. Build up those tendons. A strong alternative to that to really condition is to go the opposite way. Many people find this quite tricky, and stretching back out. Just building that strength, tolerance. Now release, come back out to child stretch just to take any pressures away. Let's come forward. I'll just show this from a front arm position. We're going to extend one foot back, and the critical thing we want to do when we do our leg lift is not lean and collapse. So we lost stability through the hip. So the goal is to be able to lift and be very stable. If you lift your arm, the same thing. You don't want to feel like you've lost that control. So control and stability is another fundamental position. So from the neutral, one leg back, not leaning, lift the leg, hold steady. To challenge it a bit more, you could take your fingers forward, or you could even lift them up. Breathe, enjoy the feeling, then release. Second side, so you stretch the foot back, and again, not leaning, keep stable, tummy slightly in, and lift. And you can explore what feels better too with the foot. Does it feel good to flex the foot, or to point the foot? There's no rights or wrongs, but it's just different experiences, different ways of doing it, what feels good for you on the day. Challenging, forward, or actually lifted. Keep up so you don't collapse. How long you hold depends on your fitness and strength at the time. Breathe out, rest. Release your wrists. Let's come forward for a lunge. You're going to bring your foot forward towards your mat front. And a good way to do this is lean away to give yourself room and space. So you can step the foot. Makes it that little bit easier. Hands either side. Come forward so knee comes over the ankle. And you may need to adjust your back knee to get the right comfort position for the knee, and also so that you're feeling the stretch into that back front hip. Just what the lunges are about is experiencing that stretching sensation, opening up the front of the hip a little. Posturally, we want to be careful we haven't collapsed. So fingertips, drop the shoulders and open the hearts. If you're very tight, it's nice to do a little in and out, warming yourself up. Breathe the breath. Breathing in. Breathing out. A little stronger element could be to tuck the toes and lift it up like in the plank position. From here you could plant the palms, take that front leg back, and you could come into a plank position. Now a plank, or the stick position, means that it's just like tabletop. You're very stable, pressing out through those hands, the toes down and the heels are lifted vertically. The tummy lightly in, and we're not dropping down, we're not lifting up. We find the neutral. The shoulder blades are not scrunched, they're just open, but you're not overly hunched either. Feel strong. This is where you need to develop that wrist strength and control. You can challenge it by lifting one foot. You can challenge it by shifting the weight, coming to the top feet. Gets a bit more wrist stretch too. But it's all about that nice control. Drop the knees, breathe out and rest. In this child position, some people's knees are a bit stiff, so you may not go all the way back. And you don't have to have the head on the floor. You'd be comfortable position. Just do the other side. Bring the other leg forward into lunge. Fingertips. Adjust the back knee, so we want to feel the stretch at the front of the hip. The knee is comfortable. You may need to pat it. Top foot relaxed. Up on the tips of the fingers so you can look forward so you're not all squinchy. Shoulders dropped. Again, you can do that bit of dynamic movement to feel comfortable. The angle of the toes may be slightly out if it feels better for your hip. Modification is coming to adapt for you, that's your body shape, and what feels best. Best is when you feel strong, comfortable, and it is in a place where you're able to progress could do the step back into our plank. A single leg plank. Or forward position plank. Just for little challenges. Breathing, remember. Exhale, relax back to child stretch and then release it out. Good. Let's come forward onto the tummies. We want to do a bit of work for our middle back. So let's start to stretch it by coming up onto the forearms, elbows into shoulders. Draw the shoulders down and lift and look forward. So that tends to be where the head could be a bit weak or tight, it's hard to lift it. So you may need to adjust yourself. Keep the chin slightly in if you can. If you have a very weak neck, you can do some neck cobra, which is rolling vertebrae down and uncurling to look forward. Develop that strength through that base of the neck, the upper back. Neck cobra can be very nice for that. Now, once we've released it a bit, check your front pelvis is a level flat, tops of feet lengthened. Bring the arms by the sides. Now, draw the shoulders out and open. Lift the hands. Then peel the heart, head up slightly. You don't need to poke the chin too much. Try to focus on these muscles in the upper back spine. If it's really difficult for you and you overdo the lower back, put a little cushion pillow underneath the upper tummy and that will help. You can challenge snake practice by arm position. So you could bring the arms out to aeroplane, the goalpost position, the salute, or the Superman reach. The key thing is, especially with this one, is that you don't end up rounded and collapsed. You got to maintain a strength through that part of the spine. Crocodile's a rest position, so you can rest the forehead on the forearms and legs a bit apart. You might need to rock the hips a little to be comfortable. Breathe, relax and recover the muscles. Recovery is so important, so you do the practice well. Another fundamental is your Cobra. Elbows by the side, palms down, and you can curl up. Now this is the dynamic Cobra. You can take the arms out to the sides, elbows up, fingertips down, and you can do the slithering Cobra where it's that little side bend movements. Or you could do a flexibility type Cobra where the hands are a little forward. You lift and you open up. Focusing more on the flexibility of the spine rather than the strength. So many fun variations to do with your Cobra practices. Take a breath into your spine and let's relax. Now just try a bend, lower body, bend the knee, sole faces up and lift the leg up. Notice that feeling. Feel the strength here in the lower part. Release. Try the other one. Feel that lift and power. How high you lift depends on you and your mobility. Careful not to overarch the back as you do it or twist too much. Good. Now, if you want to get a bit of stretch going, you take one arm out, one arm lifted. The arm that's out, it's the opposite leg, bent, lift, twist away. It's a nice way of getting stretch into your spine and your shoulder. But not everyone is going to start doing this. You may just start doing a small action. Just depends on how it feels. When you do the reverse, opposite in, lift, twist away, touch. Just breathe and open up the shoulder, the spine, and rest. Lots of nice variations for the back. Let's just do the thigh stretch. Bring your heel to buttock and stretch in. Trying to feel that stretch through the front quad. Keep the pelvis flat. Some of you may be tight, this is enough. If you need a bit more challenge, you could prop, hold the top of the foot and get that slightly deeper stretch. Keep the pelvis down and careful not to twist. Quad stretches should be a bit more stimulating feeling, but can actually make you feel really good. They can help release out stress. When you do them properly, they feel very good. Try the other side, quad stretch. 1, lifted, or getting that foot involved. So it winds up the whole connective tissue line, that front body of that lower limb. Adds to the stretch. Knees should be comfortable, back should be comfortable, but a stimulating sense of stretch. And then release. Rock and release. Be comfortable, breathe. Recover. We've done lots of back work. So come up to hands and knees. Now when you come up, you want to try to use your core. So one way, come to the forearms, tummy's in and lift your pelvises up. This little half plank is a good way of starting to get that core strength going. So you can do a few of these to develop that strength. And then once you've got it, you can bring it to help get you up. As you get stronger with your arms, you can do the same thing like a push-up position, developing that core strength. So what we're trying to do here is lead with the pelvis, rather than like a cobra, leading with the chest. So that's a different action. So come back to tabletop. To counter the back bends, it's always nice to do a releasing move, so you can do a cat stretch where you tuck the tail, round to the back, draw the shoulder blades around the ribs, and relax the neck. Breathe to the back ribs. Again, and how much bend depends on you. And of course, if you have osteoporosis, you wouldn't be doing much of this. This is a flexion posture, so we don't do a strong thing if you have osteoporosis, but if you've got normal spines, then a flexion posture is really nice for the mobility of your back joints. It's nice to relax the neck too. Okay, so let's come around. Let's come up to kneel. So in kneel, we can get our strength and balance here. You may need to pad the knees. Just do an easy heart opening. And release. And we're just going to do a couple of side bends here. So we're going to take your leg out to the side. Square position, pelvis is forward. And this is about the waist, so you're focusing here. So you could bring your hand behind your head. You could just side bend away until you feel that sensation of stretch through here. Now, if you want to get a bit more wind up the whole line of the stretch, you could have the leg straightish, toes up or forward. You could side bend, get the waist, reach and at the arms, you just feel that it winds up the stretch more. So this is what happens in yoga. We do different positions that sort of stretch more than just one area. It's like you're winding and getting the stretch through the whole connective tissue line. Keeps our flexibility, our mobility, and our sensation. And helps add to that sensation, that feeling of aliveness through the body. We can counter that by bringing the foot down, drop the hand to the side, and just stretch out and away. We just call these counterbalances just to bring everything into that neutral. Try the second side with the gate posture. Square position, forearm support, lean over just to feel the waist stretch. Or extend the feeling, stretching through and adding to that. And of course, over time, as your mobility comes, not that you need to do this, but you can gradually work into those positions. It's just a matter of winding and opening up our bodies more. It's not that it's more better, or that's not the full posture. The full posture is your expression of yourself, challenging it just to the edges, whatever that may be. That's the important thing. So after doing that, just do a gentle cat again. Let's do a little bit of light arm strengthening. So from tabletop, hands a little forward, preparing for Chaturanga Strength. Keep the elbows in, and we'll shift the weight forward till we get that strength through the wrist. And now bend the elbows, your ability. So it might be a little bit, or it might be a lot. Getting that strength into the muscles of the back of the arms. And this is a bit like a plank, so you've got to keep your pelvis steady, not let it collapse. If you're very weak, you might find putting cushions or blocks in front of you to support yourself initially helpful. But this you can build up that arm strength for the Chaturanga. Eventually you can do this from plank, that shift, lower, and back up. It's always nice after doing your Chaturangas just to release your wrists, breathe and recover. Good. We're now going to make a transition up to stand. So let's make your way to stand. If you come to kneel, bring one foot forward. We're going to get that strength in the leg to come up from. If you haven't quite got the strength or balance yet, you could place your hand on the ground or on a chair to assist you to come up. But you can also use this position to get that ability, that strength. We should aim to try to strengthen ourselves so that we can comfortably get off the ground without support. Let's come up to stand and find easy mountain posture. Feet a little bit apart, toes soft. Now the first thing you want to be aware of is your arches at the foot. Some of us have a tendency to collapse the feet. So just see if you can be expressive and lift those arches slightly up. There's little muscles that help to do that. And if you're not sure how to do that, it's a good one to refer to some of our foot classes that go into that in more detail. Keep the knees a little soft. And again, with the pelvises, just find that position of neutral, not sticking out, not tucking under, but where it feels balanced and comfy. A good way to help get a bit more balanced and comfy is actually do a few pelvic circles. That loosens the hips and the lower spine, finds that nice place. Stand so you feel the spine is upright, but it still maintains its curves. And what we're trying to do is avoid, exaggerated postures and find that more aligning position. The hardest thing is usually the head. Our heads can sometimes be forward, So you may need to cultivate that awareness of bringing the chin back in so that it's not so poking forward. And the shoulders can sometimes have that rounded feeling. So we're trying to use the muscles in this lower part to open them out to this feeling of easy openness. Sometimes turning the palms forward helps that. Let's just breathe in and lift our arms up. Now remember we said when you raise the arms, you're letting your shoulder blades move as well, and we're letting our hearts open to feel. And you could bring the palms towards each other or even touch according to your flexibility and mobility. The key we're trying to do is feel that space and openness that's neither overly exaggerated or rounded and collapsed. We're trying to feel that spaciousness. Also here we can practice that sensation of spinal breathing. So remember that's the feeling that you imagine from the tail. You breathe in, awareness up. Breathe out, grounding relaxation. But grounding relaxation doesn't mean collapse. It's just that feeling of ease that comes in when you breathe in, lengthen, breathe out, grounded ease, down into the feet. It's such an easy practice. This breathing is a really nice one to do throughout the day. Good one to do when you're waiting in a line, when you're a bit impatient. You can spend some time helpfully charging up your posture and energy. So from mountain, we're going to work a bit on our balance. So when you do balance, you're shifting your weight to bring it over your support. The foot's pretty small, so balances are challenging because it's a small base. But the critical thing is you've got to do this shift. But sometimes we can shift and collapse. So what we're trying to do is shift, but keep that sense of lift so that it's steady through the pelvis, not collapsed. So this is one of those fundamental awarenesses. If your balance is not good, feel free to hold on to a support for safety and to help you achieve that stability feeling, so that gradually you can progress to no hold. Let's try a few balances, feet together. Soften the knees, and if it feels safe, just close your eyes for a moment and get a sense of feeling of your body. The feet, ankles, knees and hips, the spine, the shoulders, the neck, the head. Because balance, we're using the whole body, making little adjustments to keep ourselves upright. These balances are what we call simple balances because they're static balances, and you can challenge the balance by doing more dynamic balances as well. So open your eyes, focus on a point, and do the simplest balance, which is just simply bringing one leg up, tummy's in, wherever height you can, and try to hold nice and steady, keeping that stable pelvis. Ooh. Sometimes your balance loses a bit, but that's okay. That's your body adjusting. Balance is always good and bad. Because we get tired. Depends on what's been going on in our minds as well. It's a complex thing, balance, so it uses a lot of nervous resources. Try the other side. So we make a little shift, lift up, but careful not to lean back. Feel how your ankles and hips and everything works to keep you upright. A variation of this is, and it works, especially works the outer ankles a bit more, is the tree. So the tree balance is you have a foot turned outward, can be above your knee, could be above your ankle, above your knee, or that flexible people can even be in this half lotus position. Again, it's that keeping that pelvis awareness level. Hands can be low, hard, or lifted. And obviously it lifts your centre of gravity when you raise your arms up, so that challenges the balance a bit more. Sometimes there's variations of this where we adjust our balance over the support, so the swaying tree can be a little bit more tricky. It's where we deliberately let the hip move. Try the second side. Soft knees, shift the weight, turn the knee out, keep the hips forward, be above your ankle, a knee, or into your half lotus. Arms are low, heart all lifted. Sometimes one side is not as good as the other. I've had more ankle injuries on this one, so it's a little bit more wobbly. We can sway our tree. And then release. Another good balance is to go backwards. And that's the Warrior 3 variation. Soft knees, foot back, heart forward to that position. Bring the foot up, trying to come towards a T position. You could bring the arms to the sides, could reach them forward to lock, to challenge it. You could spread the wings and bend the knee. Southern India variation. You can make it dynamic. Coming forward and back. So we can challenge our balances in different ways. Get your breath, soften. Other side. Set up, aligning. So everything we've done before this has helped us to achieve the right posture position. Open, reach, interlock, or flap, or dynamic. What challenges you on the day? And then release. Shake, loosen, get your breath. Recovery, take the inner smile. And just try a couple of standing practices too. So if you take your feet apart, keep that middle balance point so that equally. Make sure your pelvises are free to move, not locked up your hips. A couple of things you can do here to strengthen, heels in, toes out, and we do our wide squat position. Knees in line to the feet. This is a squat variation which allows you to keep the body upright. With the normal squat, to keep your balance, you've got to incline the torso a little bit. That's why this is quite a nice variation. Gets that strength through the hips. This helps you to progress into some of the stronger side lunges. Eventually we can take it into the Skandasana practices. So this is all about how you can help develop that conditioning and strength. Knees aligning, opening up the hips, and gradually making progressions over time. Bring the feet a little back. Our Warrior 2. Toes turn down, adjust the heel, bend the knee. Level up your pelvises, but then you may not be fully open. The position so that it keeps your knee in that nice place of comfort, strength. This Warrior is a good one to build that inner knee. The critical thing is you want to watch that you're not too in out position. So that's strong. That's what we're after, the strength. The back foot, sometimes that arch can collapse, so having that strong as well helps. From our center line, let's open our arms like wings. Reaching forward, reaching back. The shoulders hunch, you could turn the palms. This is one where we get a little bit more of that lateral awareness of our breathing. And this is our opportunity to come into our side bend. There could be hand support, forearm support. We can side bend, hand behind the head, or reach. Or, over time, it's not that they're better, this is just ways of progression, challenge or strength. But what feels good for you at the time. We come back, we can counter with reverse, breathe and open up the lungs. And we come back to neutral, feet parallel. Take your breath. Center yourself, palms at the heart. This is a centering practice. The connection of left and right. Shoulders easy. Second side. Warrior two. Arches, knee aligned. Navel pelvises. From our center line, we spread. We get a bit of work in the neck because we look out through our fingers. Palms could be up. We can come into our side bend. Watch the tendency not to collapse, especially. It's like a little of a rotation this as well, so we're trying to open the heart and the ribs slightly up to get that position. This is that feeling, it's not this action, but we're trying to be more expansive and open. Reverse it. Counter stretch. And back to neutral. We can walk the feet in if you've got that dynamic strength. You can do a little jump. You can do a little jog on the spot. Or if you need to get that little bit of impact challenge, you can do a little bit of light jog. And then just ease and breathe. It's all about your joint tolerance as well. So if your joints are a bit stiff, then you've got to build up to this. You've got to develop that softness and elasticity in to be able to do some of these things really well. So last thing in standing is our forward bend. So from here, there's two aspects of it. The one is posture, so we can develop posture control and get a bit of stretch flexibility. So this is your half forward folds. The feeling that you come forward, that awareness that your pelvis is coming a little towards your thighs. Tail stays out, keeping natural curves. Heart slightly open so you could spread your wings in any hand position. So the goal is that it's often what happens when people do this is they do that. It's a different action. So we're trying to keep that stretch open. So that's the half forward bend. And then from half forward bend, if you're very tight in the hammies, you could bend the knees, and then you could let your spine, like a waterfall, roll over the thighs and come into forward fold. So there's no strain of spine. This should be a move of relaxation and release in the spine. Obviously, if you've got acute back issues, this is not one for you to do, and you need to check with your therapist what modifications you may need to be making. So when we're in these forward folds, you can challenge the hammies by pressing the heels and lengthening through the back knees. Get that bit more stretch. You relax your shoulders, your necks. It's really important that the necks are free. There's a nice relaxation variation of the elephant trunk. When you come out, sometimes it's helpful to have support. And the other thing to be mindful is your blood pressure. So from head down to coming up, you get a bit lightheaded because you've got blood pressure low, then you may need to come up a bit slower and give yourself time to adjust. Especially if you're on medication, sometimes you need to do that too, just to change your position. So once you're up, a nice counter is to just stretch, lift up, breathe, and breathe out. So we're going to make a transition down to seated. You can do that through the forward bend, so you half bend the knees a lot to bring the hands on the ground, and then step it, knee and knee to come into your tabletop. Now there's lots of ways to come into seated from here. The strong way is you could bring the hands either side, legs crossed, and swing through. But of course that's not for everyone. So we can do a side sit. We can sit to the side and bring the legs out and through. So it just depends, different ways to come into it. When you're seated, sometimes you're very tight in the hips, the hammies. You may need to prop up on something to make it easier. It's always easy to sit if you can have the knees slightly lower than the hips. So if you're really tight, it's really hard to get straight, if you're in this sort of lifted position. That's why often in the classical positions of sitting, you see the knees are outward and down to keep that ease of openness through the hips. Because we're sitting on something is a pretty good thing to do most of the time when you're in seated position for yoga. So the classic seated position is staff, feet forward, natural spines, shoulders, hearts open, chins in, we're lifting through the crown. You can work up the lower spinal muscles here a little by just doing that shoulder blade grounding. Helps to strengthen those lower muscles. And eventually that can take us into like a reverse tabletop in a comfortable way. As you get that strength and flexibility. We're going to come now into a cross sit. So this is where it's especially helpful, and to help that we'll do some last bit of hip opening. Just do a Cobra, soles touch, knees open. Hands could stay back if you're really hip challenged. I'm going to do some pelvic tilts to help, or you can come into that position. You can do the butterflies to get that mobility as well. You could open out the hips in wide angle, equal distance apart. Tails back, hearts open, heels grounded. Again, you can be pointed, flexed. Check what it feels like, if it's inward or outward rotated. Neutral's probably a main place. You can challenge it if you've got that flexibility to come into the forward fold. The main thing we're trying to do is forward fold again with a nice relaxed lengthened spine, not a tight, uncomfortable, scrunchy spine. Hand positions can vary. You know if you're doing it well because you really want to feel comfortable stretch and take that inner smile and breathe and relax. This is a stretch that takes a bit of time, so it's one that you can hold a bit longer. Let's coming into cross sit. Sit comfortably. Another way of getting that upright position is to do a bit of spiraling of the spine. Like you're trying to align the vertebra one on top of the other. Shoulders nice and easy. Necks are free. So it's always nice to include some neck work. So we can drop chin down to chest. We can open up, opening our throat rather than throwing the head back. We can do a rotation. Or drop the chin down, look into your hip to get that nice stretch through the side neck. Rotation. Or dropping down. And back. Energy into a side bend. Again, that vertebra awareness. So you've got to be careful that it's evenly stretching, not one part more than another. The shoulder be grounded. You can use support if needed. Ease it up. That just makes it feel comfortable, relaxed, and allows you to go into the stretch with more ease. And ease it. Simple twists. Twists are fantastic for our spines and posture. It's the simplest variation, one leg up, one out. For more strength in your spine, lift the breastbone, drop the shoulders, and twist and use your muscles to twist. If you want more flexibility, then keep the natural curves. And you can do a bit of assisted action. But I tend to focus more on the strengthening aspect because most of us need the postural strengthening work. You can do it again from both legs bent. Or from your classical position, the leg not or crossed over, sitting even. We can even do it from Skandasana, staff position. Twisting. Twisting. Holding the foot and reaching and twisting. All great ways to get that flexibility. So if you do the second side. Mobility. Come back to the strength, lift the breastbone, drop the shoulders, both knees bent. Classical, foot tucked, crossed over or not depending on hip mobility. You're sitting even, lift, rotate. Feel the aliveness coming into those spinal muscles, the waist. Start position. Oh, a little bit of a twist challenge. Winds up the connective tissue. If you've got the flexibility, holding the leg or foot. Good. Take a breath. Point the feet. Stretch those ankles. Release the feet. Good. One last is the boat. Bring our legs up. So boat is about keeping good core control. So tummy's in. Slight lean back without collapsing. Hands can be free or supportive. You can have toes down, toes up, lengthened. Just depends on what's right for you. A good rest position is your Cobra. Try a second time. A big challenge is to lower into low bird. Again, you just got to build up to all of these over time. Now before we come down, just briefly, just do a little bit of spinal breathing. So sit it, eyes can be closed. When you close your eyes, it just helps the awareness to go within. If you don't like closing eyes, that's fine, just focus outwardly on a point, but keep the eye gaze soft. Take that in a smile. Awareness of spine. Breathe in to lengthen. Breathe out to ground, rest, release, but not slump. This can become a meditation. The ones I often practice, spinal breath meditation. We just let our minds become involved, absorbed into something so that we let go of everyday thoughts and emotions. It gives us freedom and space. It's like a little retreat away from every day. We don't have to worry or overthink things. If you have a tendency to collapse a bit, you could have the palms up, keeps us a bit more open. It's important with breathing and meditation to keep it very simple, effortless, fun, engaging. A sense of pleasantness. This is what we're trying to achieve in yoga, that ultimate balance of ourselves. Now, you could stay with meditation if you want final relaxation. Come down onto the back. Sometimes it's nice just to do a little hug or twist. Make sure everything's comfortable. You can keep the legs up, feet apart, knees together. It could be open out. Again, this is one where a bit of head support might be good if you have a tendency for the chin to poke. Shoulder blades open. Again, eyes focused or gently closed. Take a yawn. Let go. Loosen fingers. Loosen toes. Just let all the tensions go. Relax your feet. Relax ankles, calves. Relax knees. Relax the hamstrings, the thighs, the inner thighs. Relax all around the hips, the glutes, the inner hips. The deep hip flexors, create space. Relax your pelvis and lower belly. Relax the whole abdomen and all the inner organs naturally working. Relax the lower back spine, the kidney area. Relax the heart and chest. The upper back and shoulder blades. Softening of the shoulders, uppers and outers, chest and armpits. Soften upper arms, front and back. Forearms and palms, open, soft, easy. Soften the throat, the neck, the back neck. The hollow's natural. Especially release that point where the neck joins the base of the skull. Soften the jaw, the tongue, the teeth, the palate. Soften the cheeks, the ears, kick in a smile. Soften eyes, eyebrows and foreheads, right to the temples. Loosen the whole scalp as though you're being massaged. Let the nervous system become calm. Your body now is going into recovery mode. Let everyday thoughts and feelings go. If you're still a little reluctant, just try this simple letting go breath. Sniff the breath in and sigh it away. And just rest in stillness for as long as you need to recover. When you feel ready to come out of it, take a gentle full body stretch. Bring the legs up slowly. Find your way on one side. And coming up to sit. Bring hands at heart in the Namaste position. Feel the union of hands, the union of yoga. Take the good will of the yoga, all the energy and good feelings you've created with your practice with you through your day and week. Take a breath in, breathe out. Namaste, thanks from us at Yoga Plus Therapies, from me James and from Radhika, our co-partner. Until next time, enjoy this practice and we'll wait to see you next time.